Over at Disneyland, they've got all kinds of new rules concerning gimbals and telescoping sticks and all the tricks that streamers use to do the thing they do. And some of them make their entire livelihoods off of streaming in the parks. Those changes likely coming to Disney World very soon too. Oh, and by the way, videoing on rides, yeah, that's going away as well. Well, we've been trying to figure out what is it that caused Disney to be so strictly determined to get rid of the streamers. And we had heard that it involved what's called swatting, right? Where somebody makes a false call in, the popo show up, and there's no real danger, but people are put in danger by the fact that the popo show up believing that there's a crisis and they're in crisis mode. It's a very dangerous thing. We don't recommend anybody do it. And we would love to see laws that make it a huge penalty for doing so. Also, we think there needs to be a way to track down the people who do this swatting thing, and they should go to jail for doing it. Disney is not handling it well that Disneyland was swatted. This is from Seoul Economic Daily, which is not a place you would anticipate we would go for TPP, but here we are because indeed it's what we need to understand the story. So let's go there right now. It says Disney weighs ban on for-profit live streaming at theme parks. But up until this point, we've read this story before. Up until this point, we didn't know the details fully of what went down at Disneyland. Here it is. Disney's theme parks may soon crack down on monetized live streaming by influencers. Since this article came out, you all know that a policy has now come down for Disneyland that does indeed make streaming much more difficult, and it may be just the first step. Disney, it says, is considering banning or partially restricting live streaming for profit within its theme parks. U.S. media outlets, including the New York Post, reported on October 27th local time. The direct trigger was a swatting incident that occurred at Disneyland in Anaheim, California in March. We've already described what it is. We won't read it here. The incident occurred around 10 p.m. on March 11th. Anaheim police received reports of boom booms of all kinds of varieties at Disneyland and dispatched a large force, though no evacuation was carried out. Now, what we don't know is, did Anaheim police call Disney and say, is this real or not real? Because you would think that there would be quite the call if this was going down. But pay attention to the details here. This is amazing to me. A streamer known as Oblivion was captured on video speaking with police at the scene saying, quote, some internet user just swatted us, unquote. That same night, 3 similar reports were filed in the Los Angeles and Orange County areas, all believed to be linked to influencers who were broadcasting live. An investigation found no actual threat existed. And here's what's amazing to me. Disney reportedly banned the streamer from its parks afterward. An industry official told the New York Post that, quote, this incident became the trigger for the judgment that this can no longer be tolerated. All right, we'll get into the details more in just a moment of this story, but what is striking to me, Ron, unless this was coordinated by these streamers, which they should go to jail if it was, and they didn't go to jail, so I am inclined to say maybe they weren't involved in this, they were just the victims of it. Ron, it's amazing to me if this Oblivion streamer person was the victim of, an internet user who did this. It's amazing that Disney then banned the victim. What do you make of that, Ron?
It's a strange call, and it's very difficult for me to make any evaluation about it, having not been there and seen the situation. There's a lot. There are rules. There's a lot of rules when you go into a Disney park, and you want to make sure that you are cognizant of those rules, especially if you're doing something like streaming. Technically speaking, Disney obviously has the right to stop any activity that's going on in their parks when you're on their private property for you to profit from, unless you have went to them and gotten express permission. And of course, we know, live streamers don't do that. And some people, some people are live streaming from the parks, and it's not even a for-profit thing. It's just their enjoyable activity. Other people, they've got the gimbal and the 15 different cameras and devices on it, and they look like they should have a camera crew with them. And so, I mean, it really, there's a wide spectrum of this happening. But it is strange that if you were, I don't know, it's such a weird thing. I'm trying to think of, it hasn't been too many times. This was interesting. So I was actually streaming live the other day from SeaWorld.
And we need to say, Ron, in full transparency and disclosure, you stream from the parks. It's part of your livelihood. It's part of what you do as a career.
Right. So I do it less often now. And one of the reasons I do it less often is because I just have a feeling I don't, you know what I mean? Anyway, so it's, so I was streaming from SeaWorld, and I had an interesting situation come up where I was in front of a person, then I moved behind this person, and they politely asked me to make sure that I don't have them on camera. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then I actually found a better place to move to where there's no way that they could have been in the shot. And then I just moved over there. That's about the most that's ever happened to me as an interaction with a guest who maybe didn't feel comfortable. There's other things that I personally consciously do. I personally consciously aim my camera away from kids and kids' faces if any kids could be recognized in the shot. I won't do it. It's one time my most awkward situation was in a line waiting for a character meet and greet. And I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling comfortable on this line. And also I just got to aim the camera up at the ceiling. But it's like, I've always tried to aim away from people if anybody could be recognized. Cause I just, I don't want to invade anybody's privacy. That's not the point. The point is to have the audience enjoy the park and the ambiance and everything with you, and then get a glimpse of something that maybe they want to try when they actually spend their thousands of dollars to go to these parks. It's kind of free advertising for Disney, realistically. But with the situation with the streamer, with the streamer complaining that somebody is doing something to him and then him getting kicked out, there's got to be more to that story than what we're getting for that to have occurred, in my opinion.
Here's a report from one of our intrepid viewers out there. Mattercat says they at first just wanted him to leave, but he was kind of not very respectful. And the Karen, is the assessment of Mattercat, the Karen cast member was clueless about who he was. They had a fight, and she permanently trespassed him. A verbal fight, not a real physical fight.
This Mattercat is correct. A lot of factors come in play. When you are streaming, a good streamer, and this is my opinion, so please, a good streamer is not trying to draw attention and steal the day away from people enjoying the park. They are there and they're trying to be not so conspicuous. They're doing their thing. They're aiming away from showing people's faces, and they take as much discretion as possible. That particular streamer that we are talking about that had the situation at Disneyland, he was there with another, individual. She was, I guess, his friend or whatever. And then in front of them, it's like a big deal. The guy's like recording them, and, they're live and drawing attention. And then what you have to understand, folks, is when you're on private property, Disney especially, they have the right to ask you, and pull you to the side. Hey, what's going on? We heard about a disturbance. And then you sit like a logical person and you explain to them. But the minute you start, not cooperating or wanting to show your ID, I understand you don't need an ID to actually get in the park, but just cooperate, be respectful, be kind, and do the best that you can to alleviate an escalation. He looked for that. Her trash, banning him like that. He asked for that, basically.
Was that after they had asked him to leave that he became hostile, or was it before?
It was actually after. You could see them kind of when you exit the park, right at the what do you call those, Pro, when you scan in your ticket and your fingerprint? I forget what they're called.
Here's why I would
past that part.
Here's why I asked. I can understand. I haven't seen the video, so I don't know how hostile he was or how he interacted. But I can understand that if I'm the victim of something, if somebody has victimized me through an act, a dangerous act, and then I'm told we need you to leave because of somebody else's illegal activities against me, I might be a little miffed too. Like, that might frustrate me too, especially if it's something that I have money on the line for. But You can imagine if somebody said, hey, there's somebody threatening you outside the park. There's somebody who is, making a threat against you. We need you to leave. It'd be like, no, I need you to put them in jail. That's what I need you to do. I need that person to go to jail.
That kid, that child, because for me, he's a child. He didn't have the capacity to have that kind of conversation with a cast member and sit down privately, say, you know what, can we get out? They were in a gift shop. Can we get out of this gift shop and go somewhere quietly so I can explain to you what's happening to me? And then that way, these people at Disney, the cast members, security, at this point, police officers were there with them. They can understand where this kid is coming from, but he did not. And I'll say it again, he did not have the capacity to have that kind of conversation. He's the big cheese. Okay.
Right. Well, some of these people, they in their heads and in their minds, they're celebrities, and they're bigger than some celebrities. So, and so they can act poorly. Let's talk about the acting poorly real quick, because this may be the opportunity Disney has been looking for to cut out on some of this behavior. And I've seen some of this behavior before. Ron, I'm sure you have. We would never do this sort of thing, but I am disgusted when I see, for example, a streamer kind of push a little kid out of the way so they can get the best spot at the parade. I mean, I just think, good.
That's awful. Yeah.
But here's what it says. Disney has had its reasons for tolerating influencer activity until now. The common view in the industry is that the company has loosely applied existing rules because influencer content effectively provides free promotional benefits. As a result, visitor complaints have steadily accumulated. Practices such as blocking walkways with filming equipment or continuing broadcast during fireworks and rides have come under fire. And fatigue over being filmed without consent has also been persistently raised, although I give no credence to that whatsoever. If you're at Disney property, you're on camera and you're being filmed all the time, and there are disclaimers letting you know that. Online communities have echoed calls for regulation. What Disney has particularly taken issue with this time is not simple filming, but monetization activity overall. Beyond real-time donations and advertising revenue, some influencers earn money through home shopping-style live shopping broadcasts in which they purchase items on site on behalf of viewers who request them. The other thing, Ron, is that people will take super chats to go ride or go to places in the parks. And that's being cut out now because we assume that the Disneyland policy will become the policy at Disney World. The policy is that you can no longer film during rides, almost all the rides. And that's going to take away a big super chat incentive that these people have. It's going to take a lot of the streaming incentive away if you can't film while you're riding Pirates or while you're riding Big Thunder. That, for some of these streams, that's the big deal, is to watch them on the ride. If you can't film Living on the Land, then maybe they won't have the same kind of viewership. What do you think, Ron? And do you see it as sort of an existential deal for the streamers?
It's a little bit weird. Well, I think it's one of the reasons that you don't see a ton of streams from Universal. So Universal does typically not allow you to film at all on rides, and certainly can't stream on rides. I couldn't stream at SeaWorld. I don't really try. I think SeaWorld they've got all coasters, and I'm just afraid of my equipment, so I'm not going to anyway. But, at Disney World, a lot of people either stream on rides or film on rides. But here's what happened last year. We saw Disney release their own POVs on Disney Plus. And when that first happened, that was my big question. I'm like, is this Disney's way of saying, hey, if you're on YouTube and whatever, guess what? We might be shutting you down. Like it was sort of this hint, this nod. It's like, it's just weird. Like, I don't know. I think that, I honestly think that you have those who we call access media, right? Disney literally gives them special access because they have such a following and they're very positive about Disney pretty much with everything that they do. There is no criticism.
Let's explain that real quick, Ron. When we talk about access media, we're essentially talking about people who their livelihoods depend on Disney giving them the breadcrumbs they need to stay alive. And an example of that would be, if you say nice things about Disney will invite you to certain events where it just so happens at those events, you'll have access to Imagineers, to Disney celebrities,
right,
to Disney directors, etc. And because of that, you'll get interviews that channels such as this will never get. Now, why will we never get an interview like that from within the Disney company as opposed to going out to other entities? Because we actually say here on the channel and on the website, we accept no quid pro quos. When we're offered free stuff, we say, no, I can't accept that because it would jade our opinion. But there are many people, we're not judging any of them. Some of them are our friends, but there are many people out there who they do take the free stuff. They do take the perks. And then if you go too far down that road, you actually get to a point where your entire channel depends on Disney giving you the free access to Interview an Imagineer, because that's what people are now tuning in to see. And suddenly you can't say a single bad thing about the House of Mouse or whatever company you're covering.
No, there's quite a few that are those streamers. There's quite a few that are very, very honest in their, for example, the food reviews. That one girl, she's very good right down Main Street. She will let you know, do not buy this. It is disgusting. And she'll like spit it out. You know, some of these streamers are really, really good with their honest opinions, and their thumbnail will speak for itself. Is it worth it? And their face is like twisted with a big question mark, and they're still on the media list. I feel like, you know, that I don't want to say gentleman because that's not even the appropriate word. The young man that got stopped by the cast members and security that was with the other significant young child there. And
Oblivion, as they call him.
Yeah, you know, he's not a Disney streamer. He is a social media personality that's very popular.
Is he one of these abrasive ones where they like try to get into conflict for the stream so that they can get it, you know, more attention and all that sort of thing?
I think he was just on I don't know what other content he does because I don't want to know. I didn't even check his channels out, but Disney is not his bread and butter. He was there on a night out with his girlfriend and they were showing off and they were just trying to, you know, attract attention, and everybody, you know, their age group was just trying to take a picture with them. And, oh, it's him. I don't even remember his name. Big deal, you know, but you are disturbing the peace. Yeah, exactly. You know,
he has to navigate the world.
You got to be respectful, man. You got to have a good attitude. Look at the people in our community. Bob from Barry's Place 28, respectable person, gentleman. He's a streamer at Disneyland, and most of us enjoy his content. Our friends at Park Hoppin', they do a great job. They're respectful. They show you the merchandise. They show you that they're having a good time, some food, maybe some rides, and for the folks that can't make it to the parks, we enjoy watching that kind of stuff. But you know, I'm not sure what Disney is trying to do with banning, you know, streamers, but that young man for that specific incident, just so you know, Disney is not his bread and butter, and I don't even know what kind of content he has. I'm scared to check.
Yeah, and there are even influencers who have gone like on purpose, gotten themselves kicked out of Disney for their videos. Yeah. And in so doing, of course, you had to do something on purpose, really dumb to do that. I tried to sneak into Disney. I got kicked out. I tried to put on a mascot suit and sneak in. I'm like, why? It is difficult. Okay.
I'm not cutting them any slack, Ron, because Disney does the same thing. Disney had, what's that guy's name? Mark Rober. Had him pretend to sneak in LiDAR cameras to Space Mountain.
Yes.
And they did the thing where he supposedly snuck in. Disney's doing the same crap too. It encourages it. So I'm not cutting Disney any slack here. They also want in on that game. They just also want to have it both ways. But hey, folks, we'll keep covering this. The main thing is, just like in any profession, any career, 90% of the streamers are wonderful, kind people who do it the right way. 10% are not, and they really stink it up. But for that 90%, many of them so good and kind who moved to these parks, right?
Yes.
Bought houses and homes near the parks to do this 24/7, 365 as their career. We're hoping that Disney can find a way to let them continue to do so because they're jolly, they're good, they're pleasant, and they are a positive force for the park. So Disney, don't part completely with the streamers, at least not yet.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.